Hey there, Board Game Brody here with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table, like Shallow Sea Great Barrier Reef by Bad Comet. It's its newest game coming to crowdfunding very, very soon. So the Great Barrier Reef, you've probably heard of it at some point in your life, maybe through schooling, but let me refresh your memory. It's the largest coral reef system in the world. It stretches along the northeastern coast of Australia and is composed of 3,000 individual reefs, and it can be seen from space. In this game, you will encounter diverse marine life that calls the Great Barrier Reef home. These creatures are intricately connected and they depend on each other to survive and to thrive. You will be able to see this for yourself when you're playing through this game, and you'll have the chance to transform the sea into a vibrant, thriving ecosystem and fulfilling the needs of the amazing marine animals. So let's get to the game now. Everyone has their own ocean board where they will be placing fish, coral tiles, and animal life onto it. You have a bag of coral tiles and 5 are placed out in a line. And then you have a bag of fish and 5 are randomly placed below those tiles. And lastly, you have a bag of sea life tiles and 5 of those are placed down below each fish. This is what you might call the market. Players take turns in a clockwise direction where on your turn you will select 1 tile and 1 fish from the available pool, matching them. Place them on your ocean board, and if any meet the conditions, you will gain a seashell, and these can be spent to either move a fish on your ocean board to another one or to find a tile that you might want. So let's go over these steps a little bit more closely. When selecting a tile and a fish, you will either take the fish from one of the 5 locations and a tile either above it or below it. So there are 10 different combinations to choose from with this choice. Before choosing if there are ever 4 or more coral tiles of the same color or 4 or more fish of the same color in the pool, you can choose to refresh the entire pool to get new ones. Then after refreshing the pool, you will choose a pair like normal. So again, you typically select a tile and a fish according to the available combinations in the pool. However, before making your selection, you can spend 1 seashell to either refresh all the tiles in either row or all the fish row, or you can select a tile and a fish in any combination without adhering to the usual pairing rules. After you have chosen your combination pair, you will need to place them onto your ocean board in any order. Tiles are always placed front side up until you have completed the tile, and then you will flip it over to the art shown on the back side. Tiles can only be placed in any free space neighboring an existing tile on the ocean board already, unless it's the first one. Then it can go anywhere. Neighboring means any of the 8 spaces that surround each tile on the board. You can rotate the tile in any direction when placing it down, and the fish needs to be placed on a bubble, but a bubble that is surrounding any of your already existing tiles. And only 1 fish is allowed on each bubble. After this, you will check to see if you have any completed tiles. Coral tiles are completed when fish are placed to match each of its corners with the color on it. You will then flip that tile over to the other side and then choose one of the surrounding fish to use to complete the tile by moving it on top of the completed tile. You will then gain 1 seashell token each time that you complete a tile. Now, it is possible to complete multiple coral tiles simultaneously by placing a single fish down, and when that does, you can complete them in, the order that you'd wish. But if you place a fish on a completed coral tile, it could cause the requirements for the other one to no longer be met for its completion. And you cannot complete that tile any longer if that happens. So really, the order in which you complete your tiles and the fish that you place can create or break combos in the game. Strategize carefully to complete as many combos as possible in your ocean. To complete a sea life tile, you will need to meet the conditions on that tile, and if you do, you can flip it over and gain 1 sea life token. You will see some tiles that, want similar tiles of neighboring corals on certain positions, or all different types of corals in the shown positions. Others will want the same colored fish on certain tiles surrounding it, or opposite with different fish on certain places surrounding it. The more complex sea life tiles have a 2 arrow type icon, and it will point in a direction and show if it wants similar or different types of coral in that direction, or fish in a specific type in a direction, those do not need to be all in a row. Other, coral or fish can be placed in the middle of others, but these just mean that if you fulfill the listed requirement in that direction, with any interruptions, it can be completed. The last 2 sea life tiles have 4 of the same coral anywhere on the board, and this one have a completed coral tile of each color somewhere on your board. The last thing that you should know is that during your turn, if you'd like, you can spend 2 seashells to move an incomplete fish to a different bubble. This is a free action and can be performed at any time during your turn, as many times as you would like. The game ends as soon as there are only 4 empty spaces left on each player's ocean. Everyone should have equal amount of turns, which should be a total of 17. When the game ends, players will then score points. You gain points from the ecosystem card if you completed those conditions listed on those cards. Then each incomplete fish still on a bubble earns 1 point for every adjacent completed coral tile. You score 2 points for each different sea life tile that you have completed. And lastly, you will add up the points from your completed tiles and some maybe of your incomplete sea life tiles and add those points together, and the player with the most points wins the game. And well, that's Shallow Sea, Great Barrier Reef by Bad Comet, a great tile placement game with layers. You will be trying to place certain coral and fish in different places on your board to score points, and you can do this, different ways that you want. You can try to overlap as many tiles that want the same specifics on your board. You can also do this by placing out the tiles first, or by placing down the fish first and then grow those into your tiles. Or you can focus on one thing at a time, trying to accomplish that. And then afterwards you can see, what you have to see what's available and see if you can layer another requirement with what you already have on your board. It sounds harder than it is, but then if you want it to be, more complex, you can definitely make it so. But really, there is, a fish out there already. You want to place your coral tile so that it matches colors. You should, check your sea life tiles at all times on your board already. You want to make sure that you're not messing any of those up by placing something that shouldn't be in certain areas. And then you are good to go. If there isn't a fish there, then you want to see another tile has a certain color facing that direction, and if so, you want to match it the best that you can. If that's not possible, maybe you can wait for a good sea life token to be placed in that certain spot. The way to be efficient in this game is by placing out both coral and sea life tiles to score you points, because a sea life tile takes 1 action to place, but then you need other coral tiles out there to score them, or fish. But then if you don't have enough of the coral tiles out there, then you won't be able to score a lot of your sea life. So then you will want to make sure that the coral tiles are placed out there as well. And then a fish, is always placed out once a turn. Which reminds me of choosing the tiles at the beginning of your turn. So there is a combination of 10 different choices, and the fish and the tile don't need to be placed down, with each other. But you just need to obey the placement rules when placing them. But grabbing them, it does matter. As you place more and more, you will need more and more until you find yourself needing, more specifics, and then you will need to, manage how you choose to get, what you want or what you need. If you mess up or you get stuck, you can, use your seashells to choose exactly what you want when choosing fish or your tiles or resetting them. All if, there's nothing available and you need to find something else. Or you can use 2 of them to move an incomplete fish on your board to an open spot to finish a certain requirement. Scoring is done by placing tiles and fulfilling requirements from the sea life tiles, but also the 2 ecosystem cards will give you an idea of how to organize things when you first start the game. After some plays, you will understand incomplete fish and how they score, and you want them to be placed by, completed coral tiles to score even more points. You want to have a variety of sea life, so, try getting different tiles to, score additional points that way. So really, there are multiple ways to score points in this game, and it's not just, place a tile and score those points. Everything overlaps, making it so players can play the game with more complexity. While other, casual players can also play the game at the same time with the same players, but they can play it in a more straightforward way, focusing on 1 or 2 things at a time. they will still score the other points, but this way you can, choose to not be overwhelmed if that's your choice, or you can, choose to be overwhelmed and have more complex ideas, as the game has, a bunch of layers to consider. Overall, 17 turns, so the game won't be too long, but if it also, won't be too quick. There is a solo mode, so if that's your jam, there's that. You can mark off achievements trying to complete certain goals. The components in the game are very nice with this prototype copy that I have. The player boards are very thick. There's cute fish meeples, fun bags to put the tiles in. And really, one thing I do know is Bad Comet has been hitting on these nature themes, and Shallow Sea continues that trend, but this time they're just doing it in the water with the Great Barrier Reef. I have enjoyed their other games, but this one might be their best so far because this one limits the long gameplay, which will, really help to get this game back to the table. Again, this is Brody with Let's Table It, where we get games to the table. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We are working hard to bring to you videos like this one, so you know if these games here are ones that you want to get to your own table.